I'm not defensive about it. Yes, people, what's happening? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video. First things first, guys, make sure you smash the like, subscribe if you're new around here, all of that good stuff. And as you can see, I'm joined by Matisse for today's video. Bro, last time I seen you, we were on the plane to Poland. How's things been since then?
Yeah, bro. Last time I seen you, we were trapped at some random airport in I don't even know where we were.
Bro, and then that train was a madness as well.
Yeah, bro. Man was falling asleep, all sorts, man. It was the longest trip ever. But listen, we got it done in the end. We watched our team win a European Cup. That's what I'll call it. And yeah, man, ever since then, it's just been hectic, man. Transfers, we were just discussing off air, like all of the different stories that are going about, how tough it is to keep up in these wonderful record temperatures here in the UK. And then you'd be going for a lovely walk and thinking, oh man, something could break any moment. You know what I mean? It just puts you off. But yeah, man, I'm good, man. I'm good.
Nah, good stuff, bro. Good stuff. Obviously become world champions since then as well. So it's been a pretty good summer so far. I mean, bro, what have you made of the business that we've done? Because obviously we finished last season quite strongly with the 2 trophies and obviously getting that Champions League qualification back. 3 signings are coming in, Pedro and Delap. We've seen them 2 and actually haven't seen Gittins yet. Are you surprised at how many attacking signings that we've made? Obviously, we'll get on to Xavi Simons shortly, but the attack seems to be undergoing a complete revamp, really.
Bro, this is a very big revamp, because I was going through it the other day and I thought to myself, right, so up front, as it stands, 2 new strikers, right, on top of Jackson. Right wing, Esteval debut season. Left wing, debut season for Gittins. And potentially now a debut season for Xavi Simons in the 10/wing positions as well. And that's without even getting into Quenda coming in 2026. Kendry Pires will obviously probably get that Strasbourg loan. So a lot of new attackers, bro. It'll probably be almost completely flipped on his head next summer from one attack to the next, maybe excluding Cole Palmer, Pedro Neto. Let's see, you got to have a great season, of course. But it's needed, because I think last season we all kind of could see that, okay, the team that's created the second most amount of chances in the Prem. Assists have not been given to Cole Palmer, to Enzo Fernandez, to others. What is the main reason here? It is the finishing. And the ball striking ability in this team was honestly on the floor. Sancho wasn't taking any shots. Madueke is too inconsistent with his shooting. Pedro Neto, it didn't even feel like he really had that many shots, to be honest. When I really look back at it, I don't really feel like he missed loads of glaring, massive opportunities. He just didn't really have many shots. Jackson's shooting technique is wayward as well. Cole Palmer, even then, towards the back end, couldn't really put the ball in the back of the net. So in this window, what we've done is we've just improved the shooting ability from range, from close, variety of shots. We've seen it with João Pedro already. Delap, even the stinging of the fingertips from Donnarumma in the final, coming off the bench 25 yards out. Just don't have other players that, last season do that. Gittins is meant to be quite a shooter as well. Obviously, Esteval, we saw the goal against us. That's the lowest XG shot recorded you could possibly ask for the data analysts. And if Simons is over the line, then he also doesn't mind the distance shot. We saw it against England for Holland. So it's brilliant, bro. I'm honest. It's none of these names really were necessarily on my list. Of course, I'm always thinking of the biggest names that I've seen the most times, but I'm very, very happy with the things that we've done in the attack in terms of the physicality improvement and the shooting as well, bro.
No, I mean, I hear you on that. I mean, look, João Pedro weren't really on my radar sort of at the start of the window. But, I think that's a good sign and a smart bit of business, sort of a better, more mobile version of Nkunku that probably suits the system a lot better. As you say, someone that actually shoots. Too many of our attackers just don't take a shot on. I mean, Madueke's obviously he's gone now, but he was probably the only one that would actually have a shot. Everyone's always looking for pass. But now Pedro's someone who's got good ball striking, will take a shot on, has also got, a good finish on him as well. Obviously that dink in the final, so he's got different bits about him. Just briefly on him and Delap. Obviously we've been in a unique position ahead of other teams where we've actually been able to see some of these new signings in action, how they might gel into the team ahead of next season. I know we've only, from Delap, we've had the whole competition, but Pedro, we've only had a couple games. What have you made of them two, and how do you think they might be able to settle in?
Well, João Pedro has just been incredible. absolutely incredible. Like the finishing, the link up, the intelligence to, you know, just play that leading line role and bring every single facet that's needed really to it. The only thing he's missing is like a bullet header from across. And if he gets that, you know, in the opening few weeks of the season, then I'm going to be on cloud nine even more. So I'm really impressed with him. I've always liked him as a footballer, but I didn't really know if he was going to be as impactful as you need someone who costs that kind of money to be, because of course we've been down this road before. Thankfully though, after Maresca started making those kind of systematic tweaks, tactical tweaks in the Club World Cup, started playing with a 3-4-3 or playing with a 4-2-2-2, just showing more flexibility and less rigidness, then I was like, oh, okay, maybe João Pedro will fit in here, because now I can see we're actually playing, you know, we're playing different formations. And I never really knew that, okay, we'd go with him up front, because when you look at the stats, I mean, he just doesn't score many goals. Again, not because he doesn't shoot well or because he misses loads of chances, but mainly because he just doesn't take loads of shots on the data.
And a lot of his goals were penalties as well last season. I think
Exactly.
like
Yeah.
6 of his 10 in the league were pens or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. And obviously Cole Palmer takes them. So it's like, did I really want to rely on João Pedro for 20 Premier League goals or 18, 19 Premier League goals when he's never even got more than 11? Right. So I was like, okay, he'll contribute, but I'm not going to rely on him. But when I saw that finishing and I saw the quotes as well of, hey, they pay me to score goals, I said, all right. Yes, we do. Do you know what I mean? Because we know he can create, we know he can carry the ball, we know he can dribble and, you know, link things and pull out wide. And all that. I thought he was just going to be another one of those players for us. I didn't really feel like he'd necessarily lead the attack, but he looks like he wants to do it. And then Delap for me was always got to be a rotation and striker anyway when we brought him. I didn't really necessarily want to rely upon him week in, week out. It's going to be interesting to see how his game kind of evolves, because at Ipswich he was a battering ram. I feel like we've almost used him a little bit like that as well. Like he runs in behind a lot. Of course, he loves to go into all of the disputes with the other players on the opposition team. And I feel like if we're winning a game and we need someone to come and continue to press, to continue to make the runs in behind when they push up the pitch to try and get the equalizer or come back, he's the perfect guy to bring on. Do I necessarily want to start with him in terms of low blocks especially? I'm not too sure yet. Obviously, technically he's solid, but I don't necessarily think he's on the level of João Pedro when it comes to that kind of stuff. So I'm happy to have the options. And I would still keep Jackson. And, you know, I know he's not mentioned, but I would still keep him just purely because I don't want to go into a season without 3 senior strikers. I think we're running the risk of an injury or, you know, someone's loss of form or anything. And then next thing you know, we've only got one option off the bench. And then, you know.
Bro, I'm glad you said that, because that's something that I've been saying a lot, is that we need, especially going into Champions League, you need 3 senior options at centre forward. Discount Mark Guiu, he's going to go on loan or whatever. He's not really ready to perform that role. And if you can keep Jackson, then I think that's, you know, that's definitely a plus, because we saw last season 2 strikers went down on deadline day in January. We're playing Pedro Neto through the middle. If one goes down, you're left with one, and there's no rotation options, and you've got yourself a massive problem. But I mean, you touched on Maresca's sort of being more tactically fluid in terms of particularly the semi-final and the final in the Club World Cup, where we sort of changed system a little bit. It wasn't necessarily rigid with 2 out-and-out touchline wingers. There was maybe one out on the right or left, and then someone with license to drift in a little bit more. That, I think, is a really interesting evolving of the system from him, and something that I think with the profile of players we've got can be really useful, which is why when you see links to Xabi Simons, which is probably going to happen maybe this week or certainly at the latest next week, that's a sign that makes a lot of sense. You've got Gittins on the left, and you've got Simons that can play on the left but will drift in and can also play as a number 10, so you're covering 2 bases there. What are your thoughts on that signing? Because again, that was someone that not really many people had on their radar from a Chelsea perspective at the start of the window. I mean, is this a signing that excites you? Do you think he's obviously got a role to play, but I mean, how do you see that one working out?
I'm excited, bro. I'm not gonna lie, these type of players are always exciting for me because I just love to see lovely footballers at the bridge. Do you know what I mean? I love to see footballing intelligence. It's why I've been so against the Garnacho move, because I just feel like he doesn't offer enough in different situations and scenarios. If you're playing in a counter-attacking team and you need someone to run in behind towards goal, and with, you know, good off the ball movement, then for sure. But I'm looking at low blocks. I'm looking at interchanging positions. I'm looking at covering a multitude of areas on the pitch. And I'm also looking at ball carrying ability as well, and just having someone that's central that can maybe do something on the dribble just to help get past a few players, and instead of the pass which we have from Caicedo, Enzo, and obviously Palmer does it as well. So I think Simmons ticks a lot of boxes, man. Obviously, I didn't have him on my radar either because I just didn't even think he'd be available, to be honest. But the way that he seems to play, in terms of, it seems to be a very good tag team partner for Cole Palmer. Yeah. We've never really ever spoken about what if Cole Palmer gets injured, what if Cole Palmer needs, a serious rest, which we've never really been able to give him. Someone like Xavi Simmons can just go straight into that 10 and can create chances, can give you a way to pass, can put it around the corner, can link. And I feel like he's a very good blend between some of the attackers we don't have, which is Chukwuemeka going to Leipzig, or Nkunku leaving, or Sancho. There's a bit of ball retention. There's some good passing in there. There's a dribble. There's a long shot as well. There's a shot from range. There's something now on set pieces. Maybe he can take a few. He's just ticking a lot of boxes that I feel like technically as a team, we need to tick, because we all know a game at home to Everton at Stamford Bridge is a long game, for us. And we need as many options as possible. Yes, João Pedro. Yes, Esteval. Yes, Gittins. But more the merrier for me, in terms of just people that can unlock the door. And this is a player that looks like he can do that. And he's been around for ages. He's only 22. Feels like he's been around for like 5 years. He's obviously broke on to the scene early. Was always touted as this Dutch wonder kid. And he's not really been able to find a place of longevity. Obviously, he's always been going between clubs out on loan and all sorts. Like a Felix in some regards in that way. But he does also work hard off the ball as well. And he puts a shift in. So I'm buzzing, bro. I said it. If it's not Garnacho, I'm a happy guy. Whether it's Rodgers or it's Simmons or it's someone else. It was never going to be Eze. Eze's obviously past 25. His wage demands will be 200k plus on his probably last big contract. So that was never going to happen. But I would have taken him as well, from a footballing standpoint. Anyone that for me has a footballing brain that can link up and make others better, and we don't have to teach how to play football, and we don't have to mollycoddle and all sorts, then yeah, I'm down.
Yeah, no, bro, I hear you on that. And I think as well, like, one thing we're obviously looking to identify and add to the attack is them ball carriers in the final third. You got one in João Pedro. You potentially now got another one in Xavi Simmons. Obviously, that's something Maresca's highlighted that we were lacking last season, that ball carrying ability in the final third. So yeah, as you say, it's just great to have different options out there, because we did struggle against the low blocks, particularly in that sort of March to April/start of May period where we were struggling in games. Those kind of players, your João Pedros, your Simmons, are the guys that can unlock those low blocks, whether it's with their ball carrying, with a weight of pass, or whatever it is. So having them type of players is going to be a big plus. And when you look at, say, a Simmons and a Pedro compared to an Nkunku and a Felix, that's a massive, massive upgrade. So I think you've got to be happy with the business that the club have done in that regard. Just briefly before we move on from attackers, you touched on Jackson earlier. There's a lot of question marks around his future at the moment. He reportedly wants to stay at the club, fight for his place and whatnot, obviously be open to United potentially if it weren't possible to stay at Chelsea. A lot of people don't seem to like him within the fan base. I actually like him. I actually think he offers a lot to this team. I think, yes, his finishing's not good, and what you want from a striker is you want him to be good in the box, and that's probably his weakest area, which don't really make much sense when you're sort of trying to make a supporting argument for a striker. But I just think this guy brings a lot to the team. When we didn't have him last season, you could see how much we actually missed him. Yeah. It just gives you something different. And I'm not saying he should be starting every week, but as a rotation option, I think it could be really valuable. And I honestly think, considering the other options that are potentially out there, if we moved him on, I think it'd be a big mistake.
Yeah, I agree, bro. I mean, listen, I was ready to upgrade him, with like an Ikatike or someone like that, because I feel like those downsides to his game, like the finishing, the aerial ability, the box movement, these are massive, massive problems for a striker. But unfortunately for me, we're not going to get the replacement that would be required to offset the sale. Now, obviously, everyone has their price. If someone comes in with a 65, 70 million bid, I personally wouldn't be able to turn it down, because that's just far too much profit on the purchase. And also, I would make sure personally that we got a third striker. I wouldn't leave us with two if I had the money, because like you said, we realized the importance in the Champions League season, going for 4 comps. I want us to go to Wembley twice if we can, domestic doubles, all sorts of things. We need 3 strikers because we don't want to be playing Tyreek George up there. He's going on loan, or Pedro up there, or and really, João Pedro is meant to be versatile. Now suddenly he has to play 9 because that's all we have. And I don't want to. Another thing is that people want tactical flexibility from Maresca, but then they want to take flexibility from him. If you take away the 3rd striker, you can't talk about playing a front 2 anymore. And I would love to be able to play a front 2 if needed. Last 15, 20 minutes, we need a goal. Go to a front 2. We're going up against a team that we feel like we're going to absolutely dominate, maybe one of the promoted sides. Let's play that 4-2-2-2. I want to be able to do these things. We can't do these things if we handicap ourselves. But in terms of Jackson, I just feel like people are very emotional right now because of the red cards against Newcastle and Flamengo, which I completely understand. The lack of almost awareness and maybe maturity, but that second one in particular, it was very obvious that he was coming on to try and prove a point. And that red card was not out of malicious or out of carelessness. Some carelessness, but not out of, he didn't want to get sent off. He just wanted to come on and almost say, hey, I'm still here. I want to fight for my place. And that's all I've heard in the reports is I want to fight for my place. And if anything, those red cards just demonstrate, the second red card just demonstrates exactly that. He wants to literally physically fight for his place.
And it was the same as well, bro, when he come in against Fluminense in that semi-final. Jackson in the season, he would have squared that to Palmer. We know he's not a selfish player, but those were the actions of someone that was like, shit, new guy's come in my place. He's made a massive impact. Yep. I've got to do something about this. So It is mad how, like, when you look at the perception of Jackson from the start of the season, where he banged 9 league goals before Christmas, 2 red cards have literally massively altered people's opinion of him and what he actually brings to the team. But look, I'm with you. I've always maintained, if you're going to sell someone, bring me in someone better. I'm okay with that. But as you said, really, the upgrades aren't really there to justify the sale. So we should be keeping him. But, I mean, bro, moving on from that, obviously, the aim next season is to close the gap on your Arsenals, your Cities, your Liverpools and whatnot. When you look at the business we've done, yes, there's still 6 weeks to go in the window. When you see Liverpool going out and signing Ekitike, Wirtz, Frimpong, Kirkes, they might add Rodrigo potentially. You look at what City have done. You look at Arsenal bringing Gyökeres in. You look at the business we've done. I know football's not done on paper, but when you see the business done between us compared to the teams that we're trying to close the gap on, do you feel at this point in time we've done enough to close that gap next season?
I think we can close it, but I have to bring up a lot of factors in that. Obviously, the top teams are better. We have to respect the fact that they have improved their teams, all of them. Arsenal, whether we want to laugh about the Madueke deal or not, Saka was injured. And they did need someone to come in for him, and he will do a better job than Sterling. Gyökeres is 100% going to do a better job of scoring goals than Havertz. They've obviously brought in an extra centre-back. Zubimendi's come in. Norgard. Like, it's not title winning, in my opinion, for them. They still need to do more, but they're definitely better. And if they don't get the injuries to Odegaard, to Saka, to Havertz, Jesus, they will be just better for that. City, goes without saying, they can't get any worse than they were last year. They've signed, a lot of good, talented, technical players as well. Mamouche will be there for a full season. Ryan Cherky will be there. Foden can't get any worse. It's impossible. Reinders in the midfield. So, and obviously all those January signings for the defense that they brought in that have now got full seasons, you'd expect that they would actually have some sort of contribution to bring as well. And they probably aren't done. They might look at a right back and maybe a goalkeeper. And then Liverpool, goes without saying, Liverpool are doing everything that you have to do when you win a league, which is you build on it. And obviously they haven't spent last summer. They only bought Chiesa. These signings are, when people do YouTube, Liverpool are scary. Man United are scary. I don't business with it. I got my own titles. But if I did need to do it, this would be the time. If they get an Isak or a Rodrigo, it is scary because Edwards and Hughes are back. Klopp is no longer there with the sentimental loving for Henderson's and Wijnaldum's, and they're spending the money. And of course, as well, it has to be said that they did try to get Caicedo, they did try to get Lavia. Liverpool know what they want. And sometimes it does look like almost FSG are almost taking the mick because they don't bring in or invest what they need to invest. But it seems very much like When they've got a target, they have a target. And if they don't get their target, they'd rather get nobody at times. And Isak seems to be a target. And whether it will be this summer or next summer, hopefully Barcelona come in or something. But they're very
I think they'll
keen.
get him next
Yeah,
summer minimum.
they're very keen. So what they're doing over there is something to definitely be aware of, because these are Premier League titles they're trying to take out of our pocket. Do you know what I mean? At the end of the day, this is our competition. I'm hoping Pep obviously decides to walk away at some point. That will be great, and then we go. But for me, it all depends on how we've 100% improved the squad.
Yeah,
like by quite some substantial amount, in my opinion. The Gittins Sancho situation, whether Gittins is a better footballer than Sancho, remains to be seen. He didn't have the golden boy, breakout season. But for the system that we played last year, he certainly suits it. Dribbling, shooting, done. Esteval, buzzing to see him. Obviously, want to temper expectations on acclimatizing to the culture, the country. But physically, I think he'll be fine. Obviously, that Brazilian league, as we can see, is crazy. And we just spoke about all the ball strikers we've got up front, and obviously potentially Xavi Simons. I feel like for me, it's just about how they recover from the Club World Cup, which is key, because they did play very competitive, difficult climate games out in America. And then obviously Champions League, they got to manage that. And Chelsea have not competed for a title whilst playing for Champions League since Jose Mourinho, 2015. It's
mad, isn't it? It's mad.
And that is the context, because even that 2017 season with Conte was one game a week. And without that one game a week, listen, it is Conte. He's a serial winner when it comes to league titles, but it wouldn't have been as it was. It would have certainly been a different beast to go and try and win a league. So for me, I have to put that context there, and I have to say that, do I feel like we'll win it next year? No, not at the moment. Not unless we do something absolutely insane in the window to change that. I feel like an 80-point mark is a very fair target to try and aim for, because that is something that we've also not done since 2017 when we won the league. Tuchel's teams didn't do it. Sarri's team didn't do it. Lampard's team didn't do it. Nobody has done it since that title-winning team. That is not an easy feat for us right now. So as much as people want to bang down the door and say, "Oh, we have to win the league," or we also have to use our brains. This is a team that are improving. They are making strides. But am I expecting somebody or anyone to overturn a deficit of 69 points to 90 when our other teams are also better? No, I'm not. I think there's definitely more points to be won in the middle of the table. Those teams seem to be getting worse. Brentford are going to be in a relegation battle the way they're going. Palace may lose Eze. That will make them significantly worse. Brighton have obviously lost João Pedro and Estepanan, and let's see how they do. But yeah, bro, I'm all about winning the cups, bro.
Yeah,
winning the taste that we have for winning right now, Conference League, Club World Cup. I just want to encourage to win. I don't want us to be one of these teams that are fighting for second and, oh yeah, we finished ahead of Arsenal, whoopee-doo. If we can't win the league, which we will find out by after Christmas, because that's when it always kind of shows for us. I don't need to look at the first 5 fixtures. I don't even need to look at the first 10. I know Chelsea will be in and around the top of the table come Christmas, because we're better than last year, and I trust us to be competitive. But that winter period can break anyone. It can break Drogba, it can break Costa, it can break anyone. It doesn't matter just because you play for Chelsea. That's the period I look at, December and early Jan. If we're still in it, then I'll be like, okay, we're in a title race, we go for it. Until then, Carabao Cup, FA Cup, Champions League, and just win as many games as you can. And that's all it is for me. We can't be disgracing ourselves in the cup like we did last year. Got to take it seriously. We got to break the Wembley curse, bro. So yeah, man, that's how I'm looking at it.
Bro, I hear it. I'm exactly the same as you. Just keep winning. Just bring me something. That because once you get that taste for winning, I think what these 2 trophies will do is give this group that winning mentality and that desire to want to drive on and experience that again and again and again. So these 2 trophies have been really important for us. Just finally, bro, obviously the remainder of the window, well, I don't think we're going to see any more attacking signings after Simmons, presumably that gets done, which it should do. Yeah. What else are you looking at to get done? Because for me, obviously, backup left back needs to come in for Cucurella. There's no alternative in the squad right now. There's been loose talks on Jarell Hato. Let's try and get that done if we can. Otherwise, I'm not really too sure what we're going to do. And then there's still the question mark around the goalkeeper. Are those the 2 positions that if you were in charge, that's what you'd like to see change?
Yeah, absolutely. There's been talk about centre back, but at the end of the day, I think Trevor and Tosin and the whole back line and the goalkeeper, of course, at the back end of last season did start to show some still. I think Fofana is almost like a block, because how can you really go and buy another defender when Fofana's still there on the money he's on, with the injury record he's on? We kind of have to either keep him and pray that he stays fit, or find a solution, which we can't whilst he's injured, to open up the space, because Disasi needs to go. Badiashile is staying, it seems. You know, we just loaned out Mamadou Sarr, and then Sabino's going to need a loan. Vega's got to go. So I'm conscious of the fact that, yeah, everybody wants a centre back, but at the end of the day, we need to also clear players. And I just don't think we're going to have the space personally, unless Chalobah leaves, which I don't advocate for at all. The left back situation is puzzling, because I feel like, as I do like Hato, and I have no problems with Hato coming in. He's obviously played loads of games, leadership qualities, talented. But I feel like if we're getting Simmons, surely we need a left back that can overlap. So if we're getting Cucurella to do it, fair enough. I don't think Cucurella is necessarily the greatest crosser or the greatest 1v1 kind of guy to have in those areas to really make use of the position. I don't feel like he's as good as an overlapping left back as, like, say, a Kirkes or someone like that, which would make a lot more sense to me. But if he's going to do it, I know he'll do his absolute utmost best to do it, and he's going to put in a shift, and he's going to perform, because he just has been everywhere last season. So, but I feel like someone that is more specialized for that role alone would be helpful, considering Gusto's on the opposite side, and we saw what he can do on the overlap with Palmer. Even if you put Simmons on the right, the overlap with Gusto there, with him tucking in, I just want to see the same on that side. I still feel like Cucurella is best being in part of the defensive five, whether it's into midfield, into the three, and just hoovering up and just counter pressing, just winning the ball back, and just being there ready to stop transitions. As much as he's box crashed really well and he's got goals, I don't see him as this kind of guy that's really fluid, and even like an Udogie at Tottenham before the injury, someone that's really fluid, kind of interchanges with players around him, links up really well, crossing, I just don't see that type of footwork, that type of fluidity that I kind of want to see from someone that comes in. But if we get Hato, I'll be fine with it. That's tactically what we do, and we'll see how that works. And then, yeah, goalkeeper would be nice, but it's not going to happen, bro. No,
he just isn't, bro. Yeah, Robert Sanchez. How are we here?
Look, everybody knows my opinion on this guy. He stresses me out. He gives me PTSD. But at the end of the day, he got a golden glove and he's in form. And it doesn't mean that I trust him next season with the league for the whole campaign. But I just know that he's going to be there. So now it's up to him to continue the form, to prove everybody wrong. And if he doesn't, then I'll just say, hey, look, that's surely got to be the last chance now. That's surely got to be like your final warning and reminder on this goalkeeper situation. And if he does prove everybody wrong, then fantastic. Penders is obviously going out on loan to Strasbourg. I'll be keeping a very close eye on him. And I think what they ideally want is for Penders to be the guy that steps in over Sanchez and becomes Chelsea's number one. And I understand that, because it seems like the guy's really talented, and obviously everybody thinks he's next Courtois, and that would be brilliant. But I don't want Sanchez to cost us when it matters next season for trophies. And when I say Champions League is something that I have my eye on, purely because we're Chelsea, we can handle knockout competitions, and you don't have to be the best team to win the Champions League. You don't have to be the best team in England. The rivals want you to be the best team in England. I personally don't care. I'll take a Champions League if we finish fourth. I'll take a Champions League anytime, any day, any place. I don't care if we deserve it, if we do deserve it, if we lucked our way there, if we didn't. I'll take that third star any day. So I just don't want to see Sanchez cost me a Champions League or something, because then I'll really lose my head. You know what I mean? So until then, I'll calm down, because there's been so much improvement that I'd be crazy to just expect every single thing that I want to get done. You know what I mean? As long as you're hitting 8 out of 10, which they basically look like they will. All right, cool. You can have your 2, your 1. But don't let that 1 take a third star off me. You know what I mean? Because then it will be problems.
Nah, bro, I hear you. We just got to hope that the form we've seen in the Club World Cup and that he can carry that into next season. I think we probably all know he can't, but let's hope he proves us wrong, because we'd love to see it. But yeah, that seems like a good point to round out. Matisse, thanks so much for your time, bro. Always a pleasure to catch up. If the people don't know where to find you, let them know.
Just MAH on YouTube, 3 letters, type them in. You'll see the channel pop up. Basically, at the moment, just covering transfers and maybe one live a week on the outgoings to just cover, because there is so many of them. They can't be individual videos for me, but I'll round up the Sterlings and the Vegas and potentially, hopefully not Chalobah and whoever else it will be that gets bids for them. So, but yeah, outside of that, just really just prepping for the new season. And obviously we've got some friendlies that I'll do watch-alongs for. So yeah.
Yeah, guys, make sure you check it out. Loads of great stuff over there. I'm sure loads of you know what Matisse is about, but if you don't, make sure you go and check it out. Thanks for tuning in, people. Make sure you smash a like, subscribe. I'll catch you again in another one soon.